Highgate Cemetery in London, renowned for its Gothic atmosphere, has long been a focal point of eerie tales and urban legends, including the infamous Highgate Vampire story. Established in 1839, Highgate Cemetery quickly became a prestigious burial site, known for its elaborate Victorian tombs and winding tree-lined paths. The true story begins in the 1960s when the cemetery, having fallen into disrepair, became the subject of local folklore and ghost stories. Among these tales was the legend of the Highgate Vampire, which gained significant attention and panic in the media and among the public. The story was sparked by reports of a tall, dark figure, said to be supernaturally gliding through the cemetery. In 1969, David Farrant, a local man interested in the occult, reported seeing a gray figure and asked if others had seen anything similar. This inquiry resulted in a flood of reports and stories about strange sightings and phenomena in the cemetery, including tales of a tall, dark specter with hypnotic red eyes. The media frenzy and public interest peaked on Friday the 13th, March 1970, when a local newspaper, the Hampstead and Highgate Express, ran a story titled, "Does a Vampire Walk in Highgate?" This article publicized the vampire hunt that would take place that night. Scores of people, some armed with crosses and stakes, descended upon the cemetery, leading to chaotic scenes. Despite the sensationalism and excitement, no vampire was found. The legend, however, continued to grow, fueled by two individuals, David Farrant and Sean Manchester, both of whom claimed to be vampire hunters and who had a public rivalry. Their actions and statements kept the story in the public eye and added layers to the legend. In reality, the Highgate Vampire was a product of the era's fascination with the supernatural, bolstered by local folklore and amplified by the media. The cemetery itself, with its overgrown and dilapidated state at the time, provided the perfect backdrop for such ghostly tales. Today, Highgate Cemetery is preserved as a place of heritage and wildlife, with guided tours that recount its history and its place in Victorian society. While the story of the Highgate Vampire is a notable part of its history, it remains a blend of folklore, public hysteria, and media sensationalism rather than a factual account of supernatural events. The true story of Highgate Cemetery is one of architectural PV, historical significance, and cultural intrigue, far beyond the fictional tales of vampires. Among Chicago's most chilling ghost tales is that of Resurrection Mary. Legend tells of her untimely demise in the 1920s, struck down in a hit-and-run after leaving a dance. Since then, her spectral form in a white gown has haunted Archer Avenue, eternally seeking a lift home. Those who stop for her are met with a shock as she vanishes before reaching her destination. This enigmatic figure, known for tricking taxi drivers and her ice-cold hands, felt by dance partners, is linked to the nearby Resurrection Cemetery, believed to be her final resting place. The saga begins at Willow Springs O. Henry Ballroom, where Mary, after quarreling with her beau, embarked on a fateful walk down Archer Avenue in the rain, never reaching home. Her life was cut short in a hit-and-run near Resurrection Cemetery, the driver never found. Since the late 1920s, many have reported glimpses of a young woman hitchhiking along Archer Avenue, donning her iconic white gown, whether on the road, near the ballroom, or in the cemetery. Some even spotted her in Southside's dance halls and nightclubs. Her encounters often mirror the classic vanishing hitchhiker narrative. She accepts rides, only to disappear upon arrival. The frequency and credibility of these sightings have cemented Resurrection Mary as one of Chicago's most renowned phantoms. The first reported meeting was by Jerry Pallas in 1939. At a Southside dance hall, he was captivated by a blonde woman. After a night of dancing and a cold-handed kiss, Jerry offered her a ride. Confusingly, she requested to be taken to Archer Avenue, opposite her claimed home. Near Resurrection Cemetery, she exited the car and evaporated. Jerry's discovery the next day that she had been deceased for years began the legend. In the 1970s and 80s, others encountered her. A 1970s cab driver saw her vanish near the cemetery. Another driver, Ralph, in 1979, had a similar experience, detailed in Suburban Trip magazine. In 1980, Claire and Mark Rudnicki saw a glowing, translucent woman in a white gown on Archer Avenue, disappearing upon a second glance. In 1989, Janet Kalal experienced a phantom collision with Mary, who vanished, leaving no trace. While some doubt the veracity of Resurrection Mary, persistent investigators have sought her true identity. Once thought to be Mary Bregovy, killed in 1934, this was disproven. Now, many believe she was Anna Majura Norkus, who died in 1927 in a car crash returning from the O. Henry Ballroom. The mystery deepens with sightings around Resurrection Cemetery and unexplained phenomena like bent bars at the cemetery gates, attributed to Mary. Despite official denials, these events add layers to the legend. Whether Mary or not, a young blonde woman has been seen there at night, keeping the enigma of Resurrection Mary alive in Chicago folklore. In New Orleans, a city renowned for its rich history and vibrant culture, lies the Street Louis Cemetery, a place enshrouded in mystery and legend. Established in 1789, this historic cemetery is one of the oldest in the city. Its above-ground tombs and hauntingly beautiful mausoleums narrate a tale of the past, blurring the lines between the living and the dead. Among the myriad of tombs, one name resonates with an almost mythical aura: Marie Laveau. Known as the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans, Marie Laveau was a powerful and revered voodoo priestess in the 19th century. Her influence in the city was profound, blending African, Native American, and Catholic spiritual practices into a unique form of Louisiana voodoo. Marie Laveau's final resting place in the Street Louis Cemetery has become a site of pilgrimage for both the curious and the devout. It is said that her spirit still roams the narrow alleys of the cemetery, forever guarding her final abode. Visitors often leave offerings and mark 3X on her tomb in hopes of having their wishes granted. One true story that encapsulates the eerie essence of the Street Louis Cemetery revolves around a group of tourists who ventured into the cemetery on a foggy evening. Guided by the dim light of their lanterns, they meandered through the labyrinth of tombs, feeling the weight of centuries of history around them. As they approached Marie Laveau's tomb, a sudden chill filled the air, and the lanterns flickered as if responding to an unseen presence. Hesitant but curious, they drew closer and noticed something unusual: a fresh set of 3X on the tomb, despite no one having been seen near it. Just then, a soft whisper echoed through the tombs, sending shivers down their spines. It was a woman's voice, gentle yet commanding, speaking in a language they couldn't understand. The air grew heavier, and a faint scent of exotic herbs filled their senses. Panicked, the group decided to leave, but as they turned to go, they saw a shadowy figure draped in a 19th century dress, standing at a distance. The figure seemed to be watching them, its presence both comforting and unnerving. They quickened their pace, and when they dared to look back, the figure had vanished. As they exited the cemetery, the group couldn't shake off the feeling that they had encountered the spirit of Marie Laveau. They had come seeking the ghost story, but they left with a profound respect for the power and mystery that enshrouds the Street Louis Cemetery. To this day, the Street Louis Cemetery remains a place where the veil between the living and the dead seems thinnest, especially near the tomb of the legendary Voodoo Queen. Her legacy continues to captivate, and her spirit, many believe, still wanders the pathways of the cemetery, forever intertwined with the city of New Orleans. If these eerie cemetery tales intrigue you, then like, share, and subscribe for more spooky stories. Click the bell for updates, and share your ghost encounters in the comments. Stay tuned for more.